Here we go.
Well, good evening. Welcome, and Bonos Dentis. Thank you for joining us once again to this amazing episode of the Inside Outfit podcast. I am your host, Stephen Jakes from healingthemind.co.uk and co-founder of the Inside Out Effect with this bearded gentleman here, looking very dapper in his Brighton deck chair. And this is episode 48. This episode is about how to solve irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, colitis, and other digestive problems and what causes them, which you suggested this week.
Yes, was my suggestion.
Your suggestion.
There's a lot of stomach problems at the moment. A lot of people have stomach problems.
Yeah.
They don't realise it, and they do realise it, and they controlling it with nutrition, but it's not really resolving the issue.
Okay, good. Well, this is going to be more your bag tonight. I mean, I have done stuff with
You've done a couple of stomach problems, haven't you?
I have, yes.
Yeah.
So really, that's really going to be probably your bag tonight. And in certain things that I will probably learn off Jonathan tonight. Unfortunately,
as usual.
As usual. So anyway, we'll also be having our usual highlights of what happened on this day, and also we're going to have the most stupidest thing we've heard this week, and I'm actually going to claim that one this week because I have heard the most stupidest thing.
Brilliant.
And so I'll be announcing that just before we do what happened on this day.
I'm going to tell you my one as well.
Oh, we both got one.
We've both got one.
Yeah,
We've both got one. Yeah, both got one. Although I didn't recognise my one about 5 minutes before we came on.
Yeah.
So he was originally going to claim it as his own, but I've realised that the other one I did hear was the funniest thing I've heard.
Yes.
So it's good.
Yeah, great. So so it's going to be interesting this week, I think. But before we start, it's not what I would say. Before we start,
yes.
I'd like to introduce and welcome the lovely, the gorgeous, the marvelous, the wonderful, my co-host Jonathan Shaw, and this is actually the first podcast we've done for a month.
Yes, well,
the 4th of July.
What was the reason we didn't do it originally?
You was gallivanting round the country, romancing with your young lady.
No, that was the last time. What's the time we did before? Why didn't we do it?
Because you was gallivanting around the country.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that.
We went to the hotel and then...
Yeah, but I thought that was ages ago we did that.
Yeah, that's what we've done 2 podcasts in 2 months.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay, fair enough. All right.
So the 4th of July and then the 8th of
people have missed us.
I know. I actually had people messaging me saying, oh my God, yeah, you've got it on Sunday night. So hello, everyone. Thank you for those messages. It means a great deal to us. And,
it does. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we do appreciate that. But yeah, so it's the first one we've done for over a month. So it's nice to be back. It's nice to see you actually, mate, because I think we've seen a lot of you really recently.
It'd be nice to see you, but I haven't got my glasses on.
Well, only there. You could put them back on.
I could put them back on again. Yes, it's absolutely true. I could, but I don't want to.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to start with good evening, Jonathan. How are you, my friend?
Good evening, Mr. Jakes. I'm very, very well. Your introduction was nice this week. It was like, what do you want? What are you after?
I'll tell you off camera.
You tell me off camera. Yeah, all right, okay. As long as you don't show me off camera, we'll be all right.
I don't really want to expose that to everyone that's watching. So.
I don't want you to expose it to me either. So as soon as this ends, I'm leaving. We're not doing Chinese. No, I'm off.
Yeah. See you later.
See you later.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Nice knowing you.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm very well, thank you. Yes, no, very good. Been enjoying the changes in the weather.
Yeah, you're harping on about that.
I've been harping on about that. Yeah. And enjoying the sunshine and working lots and treating different people, different things, and it's been good. Yeah. I've had a few different people, different things, and
anything unique, anything you want to share?
Well, there was but I treated a lady recently who I met at a recent networking thing, and she had pain in her wrist for years. And when I saw her, she had a brace on it, and so she had it for a very long time. Been to see different people, and as usual, they only ever treated the wrist. And well, the problem was it wasn't coming from the wrist, so that's the problem in itself. But the wrist was getting weaker, couldn't use it, was hurting, and literally in 2 sessions, all gone. And basically, what she done was trap a nerve in her neck, and she put a bone out in her wrist. So she couldn't strengthen it because the bone was out. So that wasn't helping, because when a bone is out in your wrist, you may not know it, but if you try and strengthen it from that point of view, no matter what, if you try and do something like this, for instance, to strengthen it, you're just pushing on the bone, and the bone is being pressed in the wrong place. Yeah. So it just hurts more. And also, she wouldn't be able to solve it because the nerve was trapped in her neck. But as soon as you released all that, then the pain just went away. So she's now pain free. She had to do a couple of exercises, but 2 sessions after years, it's gone. And another lady I've been treating with gallbladder pain coming from the gallbladder into the stomach, which is why we're doing digestive issues tonight.
Yeah.
That pain is reduced. I'm still working with her, but that pain is reduced right down. And another lady I've been working with had lower abdomen pain, possibly into the ovaries. That's where the pain was completely. It was affecting the stomach. That pain is pretty much gone as well. So stomach things, I've been treating a few of those recently. And
is there a common theme?
Ironic. Well, the stomach problems are actually pretty much all the same conflict.
Yeah.
It is a very base conflict. There are variants of it, but I'm just going to talk about the base conflict today.
I'm good. I'm glad you're talking about variants, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, there's lots of variants.
Yeah,
at the moment. Well, apparently there are. Yeah. And there's slight variations of the main theme, but the main theme for the digestive system is a very base conflict, because the digestive system is one of the first parts of the body that gets created when we're a baby.
Yeah.
It's because that's how we survive. That's what we live on. So it needs to be created first. So because of that, it's a very simple conflict to work with. And over the years, I have worked with different stomach problems. I remember treating one lady. It was never really technically diagnosed as anything, but she came to me because every time she would go out to eat, she would throw up. So she went to a restaurant, no matter where she went, fast food, she would throw up, and she'd have struggle eating at home. Her craving for food had gone right down. And she'd been to see doctors and different things, and they didn't really know what it was. I don't remember. It was so long ago. It was before I created the DTO system, so I was using other techniques back then. But we still got rid of it because it was just a conflict and a shock that was running, and then she could go out and eat again. But a lot of people have these problems in minor ways. They have stomach problems, and they control it with nutrition, but it doesn't allow them to get rid of it or solve it. So that's why I thought about stomach problems.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, I've done a few with. They are very simple.
They're very really simple. But,
yeah. But yeah, so we're going to be touching on irritable bowel syndrome.
Yes.
We're going to be touching on Crohn's disease, colitis, and other digestive problems. And like Jonathan's just pointed out, generally they are all basically the similar conflicts. So the same conflict will generally manifest in an individual. But in different ways, I would imagine, and it affects you in different ways and different variants of conflicts.
Depends on the severity of the conflict. Depends on the emotional response with the conflict. And so the more severe the conflict, the more severe the symptom is.
Yeah.
So obviously stomach cancer is a very, very severe conflict, the worst one out of a lot of them. Whereas all the others are different variants of that and have different emotional responses that go with it. Well, I'll talk about that when we get into it in a minute.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Nice.
So okay. How you been? You've been good because you've had your son over.
I have, yeah. It's been absolutely amazing. I have had my son. I picked him up from the airport on Friday. Yeah. And honestly, it was so emotional. It really was. I come from the airport. As he come through from the airport, I just see him. He just ran up to me and we just hugged for about 30, 40 seconds. And then and I'm so grateful to the lady who brought him over. You know, I mean, she didn't have to do that. It was great. So I was able to have him for the week. And he was just so different. I mean, when you haven't seen your son for 20 months and then you see him again, I mean, he's put on weight and he's so articulate. He's just a different kid, you know. So it was really nice. And I had some amazing times. I didn't really have anything planned for him. I thought, I'm just going to go with the flow. So every morning I'd said, right, you have got a wish, what wish do you want to? And he just told me every wish that he wanted to have. And so I just basically made his little wishes come true, really. Yeah. So, he did really great. I took him fishing and he caught us a couple of really big fish. He's a natural. He'd never been before. I just showed him what to do and he just picked it up naturally and did it. I mean, he needed a bit of help because it was quite a big fish, but generally he did most of it himself. And then, so that was really great. And then we went and went to the rides and roller coasters and just really, it was just really great to have him. And at night time, it's great. He just wanted to fight and laugh and tickle and cuddle. And it was just so nice to have him. And it's just, I miss him. I really miss him. I only went back Friday, but when you come back to your house and you're back here on your own. Yeah. And I was in quite a, I wouldn't say I was like, really, really massively upset. I'd had better days, Yes. But like being here on your own, no one really to talk to. It was quite a difficult Friday and Saturday. But luckily enough, I had clients which I booked in the next day, so that sort of gave me a good distraction. And Saturday night,
I'm here now. So I'm here now to distract you.
Yeah, and you're here now to distract me. But so that was really great, and I look forward to seeing him back again. It was just a really great experience, and it was just so nice to see him. So I had that, prior to that, I've been just working with people with a lot of depression and anxiety. Really, that's sort of basically where I am at the moment. I've done a few people's pains in their neck and stuff where they've just got stuff from injustice, where they've had stuff happen where there's been an injustice and they're holding that energy that in their neck, and I've cleared some of that. So I've basically been doing that. Really, I've had quite some really good success. A few people have come for me for just 2 sessions, and I've just got rid of their anxiety just like that. And obviously I've been sent quite a few people over to you.
You sent quite a few bit over to me, yes. The most recent one's a lady I saw who's got multiple chronic pain conditions. Obviously, you know who she is, and she's probably watching tonight. Hello, if you're watching, you know who you are. And she's come to me for a few sessions. We think we got to the bottom of the conflict. Obviously, I'm not going to say what it was because it's personal to her. So I'll be treating her. So thank you for all the people you sent me recently. That's good because a lot of people have been in pain. Who was the person you sent me before? Don't say their name.
I sent you 3 or 4.
I sent you several people.
I sent you 3 or 4 people. People to come to me, obviously, and I get rid of all the emotional stuff, and then I know that there's a physical element. So I'll send them over to you. It's a guy that goes down with Jim.
Yes, I haven't heard from him yet.
You haven't heard from him yet,
But it's been good, but I do want to announce something. Me and Steve are toying with the idea of going back to doing a live event.
Yes, we are.
And we have a venue to do the live event, which hopefully will be nearly finished and ready soon. So if you guys are interested in a live event, then leave a comment. Let us know what you want to talk about. Me and Steve have an idea what we're going to talk about at the live event. But if you want something specific, if there's a need for something else that we haven't thought of, the live events we used to do was a lot of on law of attraction, but we was going to do it on anxiety and depression.
Anxiety and depression, doing a couple of workshops on that,
doing
and
some
a live
workshops
events,
on it.
explain what it is, how it works, and then answering any questions, and then giving people a solution that have either been struggling with it for a long time or have currently been just diagnosed with it, and basically giving them the opportunity to heal that and get it out of their life, move on.
Yeah, exactly. So, but if you guys want anything else, if you want to know other things, or you want a live workshop or something else, then let us know. Or if you think the anxiety and depression is a good idea and you're up for it and you want to come along, then again, let us know. We're just putting it out there because we're thinking about doing that quite soon, perhaps in September.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Just
if all goes well,
if all goes well, I'm sure it will. So I have every confidence. August is going to be a very interesting month.
If August is going to be a very interesting month indeed.
So,
it's already interesting for information that I've because I do a lot of researching, but all the information I've looked into now, which you won't see on the news because it's all never, and all the real truth about what's going on, it's just been fascinating. I mean, which is what actually is my stupidest thing I've heard this week, is related to that as well. But so it's very, very interesting, and so it's interesting what's just happened in Alberta in Canada.
Yes, that's amazing what's happening in Alberta and Canada. If you're not sure, just go and look that up.
That's I can't think of the guy's name now. I did try. I thought I remember that to say his name. I can't remember his name.
But typical down to earth bloke. No, not in any.
He's an oil and fuel worker.
Right.
He's got a degree in social something or other, and basically he was in a group of more than 10 people, and the police give him a £1,200 fine. He then went to court to defend it, and said, "Okay, well, you've given me this fine. I want to see the proof of why you put all these measures in." All the proofs, all the evidence for why I have to wear a mask and I'm not got social distance. I want all the proof to prove that's lawful what you're doing. And unfortunately, the government couldn't provide any of it.
Well, the chief medical person.
Yeah, the chief medical person
for that county could not come up with the evidence.
Any evidence whatsoever.
And so they've had to lift all restrictions.
Yeah, everything's gone. So that's really interesting. And so I think that's the first one. A few more of those, and we'll just watch the dominoes fall.
Yeah.
So just basically been doing that. And this morning, I was up 3:20 this morning.
You said you must be absolutely shattered.
Yeah, I woke up. I went to bed early last night. I was quite tired. I woke up 3:20 this morning, and I was like, I couldn't get back to sleep. So I ended up spending 5 hours putting together a load of music for an event I've got on at the weekend. So I'm not really in my awfully enthusiastic, energetic self. I feel quite tired, but Don't let our viewers down.
No, don't. Of course not. No. We've let them down for a month. We'll do this.
We'll let them down for a month. Yeah, exactly. So that's basically it. Really, that's basically been my week. Like just really been working with, like I said, depression and anxiety, and just helping people get. I've been doing quite a bit of coaching stuff now. Removing blocks for people and stuff. I had a guy yesterday who I've known for 40 years, almost 35 years, 40 years, and he came to me, reached out to me. He's been a friend of mine on Facebook for, I don't know, he's been my mate for a long time. Reached out to me, he came here yesterday, and I was able to get to the bottom of this problem. And so it's really nice when somebody you've known for that period of time reaches out to you. Yeah. It was really good to see him, because I haven't seen him for like 10 years or so. But he reached out to me, he was here yesterday, and it's just really getting rid of some stuff that's running for him, that's causing him problems in his life.
Yes.
So I've basically got rid of them two really big things for him in one session. So he's coming back for a few more. And if you're watching, mate, it was good to see you. And I look forward to helping you out with your other bits and bobs to make your life work more beneficial to you, really.
Good.
So, okay, well, I reckon that's about it of the small talk.
Small talk? Okay.
Yeah, small talk. So
stomach problems.
Let's get into the topic of the podcast, which is irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, colitis, and other digestive problems, and what causes them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hand this over to you, because obviously you're much more informed and you've done a lot more work on it. So I'll hand it over to you, Jonathan. So what is really the main causes of irritable bowel syndrome and digestive problems?
Well, as I'm sitting there, I think we missed a big one off that everyone has, which is indigestion.
Yeah.
That's a massive one that a lot of people suffer with, either from time to time or on a more of a chronic basis. Some of the ones you mentioned there are less people suffer with less, but basically the main conflict for the digestive system generally, so the colon, the intestines, all of that, the main conflict is just something you can't digest, which means something you can't accept or believe.
Yeah.
So that sometimes people use that language more, but it is something you can't digest. The digestive system is about being able to digest things, but not just food. It's being able to digest what happens around
situations, circumstances, events,
what people do, what people say, how people react, the situation going on right now. It's being able to digest what's happening around you. If you can't digest it or accept it or believe it, then your part of your digestive system is going to become affected. And the more severe that conflict is, either the bigger the conflict is, or the amount of conflicts that build. So it's either one really big conflict or multiple conflicts that you just can't swallow and accept. Excuse me.
So if you're quite a sensitive, very cynical person, and you're just going to not accept anything, then I imagine that's going. If you're that sort of person, you're going to have a lot of.
If it's your perception that you can't accept it, so you might have a lot of injustice in your life.
Yeah.
And as we've said before, injustice affects the neck. But if you can't accept the injustice, it can also affect your stomach, because you can't accept what's happening. It's unfair, and you just can't swallow it. Now, in fairness, swallowing is something different. That's what creates heartburn. So there is a difference between not being able to swallow something and not being able to digest something. But the two go hand in hand with each other. But the swallowing is what causes indigestion.
So it's a psychological. So I want to make it's a psychological thing.
It's
just the perception is psychological.
The perception is psychological, but the response is biological response. It's not psychological as in it's not happening. It is happening, but you're having a perception that you can't accept something, and then that alters your chemistry biologically and affects the cells in your stomach.
Yeah.
So if you have severe indigestion, taking all these drugs and things like that, and all these drinks, it's really just comes down to something that you can't swallow. And swallow is different from digest. Swallowing is down and digesting is out.
Yes.
So if you can't digest it,
it's the in and out.
It's the in and out. If you can't swallow it, you can't take it in. And if you can't digest it, you can't let it go. So a classic example of that is actually when I first learned about this. It's a story from a doctor who was a mental health coach as well. And there was this couple who they'd both had diarrhea for weeks, like really severe. It just would not stop.
I've been up that Moulton Street, Tandoori.
Quite possibly, yes. I don't know where they're
I had that.
I don't think they're British. Yeah, we won't go there.
Oh, no, they're not. If they're in India.
No.
They're probably from Bangladesh.
So, they could be. I don't know. It was in Europe somewhere. I ain't got a clue where it was. But they went to the traditional doctors. Doctors had no idea. They'd given them all the traditional stuff. It wasn't stopping. It just kept flowing and flowing and flowing. And they went to another doctor who was also a mental health coach, and he said, okay, now the couple believed, because the diarrhea started after they'd been for a meal.
Yeah.
And so they believed it was the meal that caused the diarrhea. As what happens with a lot of people, they eat something, they get symptoms, and they blame the meal, because that's what we're taught to do. Yeah. In my experience,
bad KFC. Honestly, I've got to say, look, when I had my call center, and I obviously had about 75 people on the phones, and I'd guarantee you that, during the week, I would have had between 5 and 10 people that phoned in sick. Yeah. Because I had a bad KFC. Yeah. Now, I didn't know this at the time. Okay. So I'd have been able to pull them up then. But we just had to accept it. That,
that's what you have to accept.
You have to accept it. But,
and that's the problem. We accept it, but it doesn't work for business or life or anything. No, it's ridiculous.
My best mate who I have to go training with, he's like, I've got a bit of a stomach out. I think I had a dodgy thing last night. It's always about the food.
It's always about the food.
Always blame the food. You always blame the food.
So in this case, this couple was blaming the food, but this other doctor knew better. So he said, well, before you went for a meal, the few days before you went for the meal, what happened? And they said we had a massive argument, and we didn't speak for 3 days. It was that bad. Yeah. So this is a big conflict because they didn't speak for 3 days. And he said, okay, well, why did you go for the meal? Well, we made up. Right, great. So what happened was, and people don't know, if you've got diarrhea, before you get diarrhea, you're going to get constipation. You may not notice it. It may not be severe constipation, but you will get constipation. And all that means is the food you're taking in, you're not going to release it. It's not going to come out. It's going to get stuck in your system. You don't notice it until the constipation becomes really chronic. But people can get constipated without realizing. So this couple, they had this big fight. They didn't speak, and neither of them could accept it. So they got constipated without realizing it. Then when they resolved it after 3 days, they went for the meal. That resolution allowed it to flush out the system, but the diarrhea kept flowing out.
I bet they blame the restaurant.
Yeah, probably. But it kept flowing out.
We both ate there, and I've got the chops now. So
that's how people do it. That's how people do it. But the diarrhea kept flowing out because they hadn't resolved the emotional response. They hadn't let go of the anger and all the injustice and betrayal and hurt they'd argued about. They just gone to the restaurant because they made up. And that's what caused that to happen. So it's a really classic example of how that actually works in real time. So if you can't digest something, it's going to affect the stomach, and it's going to clog you up, and then you're going to get symptoms. Now, you don't always get diarrhea. You may get symptoms like irritable bowel, because it might affect the lining of the digestive system, might affect the colon or the intestines. Yeah. Depending on where it affects, depends on what symptoms you get. So you might get inflammation like colitis. You might get something more severe like Crohn's. You might just get constipation or diarrhea, or you might get heartburn. But again, that's a swallow thing. Now, there are a couple of emotions that make things a little bit worse. So if you're angry with it as well, that can create bleeding. So one of my clients, he was bleeding from his anus when he went to the toilet. That's because he was really angry about something he couldn't digest. So if you're really angry about something you can't digest, that's when bleeding will kick in. That's why bleeding often happens in the nose. If you're angry about something up your nose, it will bleed as well, not just hurt. Yeah. And also the gallbladder, if you're having gas into the stomach, that often comes from the gallbladder, and that's a disgust conflict. So that's where you feel disgusted with something. It's no longer something you can't digest. It's disgusting. And you can't believe how disgusting it is. Very much like we feel about what's going on.
Exactly, and how everyone's acted and behaved around the whole thing as well.
But if you're getting gas into your stomach, then that is a disgust conflict. So there are variants of the not being able to digest, but they are all generally about not being able to digest, not being able to swallow, and then create different symptoms depending on the severity of it. But it's a very simple thing to do, because all we've got to do is say to the client, right, well, what is it you can't digest? Most people know what it is that they can't stomach. Yeah. And language is very important. If you actually listen to someone speak,
can't you stomach? They go, can't stomach it.
Can't stomach it. I can't stomach. I can't believe it. I just can't accept. They say it in their language. So you just find the events that happened before the symptoms came on. You find the memories, and you find the behaviors and the triggers, and you switch it all off. And the stomach will calm down and go back to being normal. Yes. And the stomach will readjust itself, and the cells will heal.
What I've tended to do with the I.B.S element is just basically go to the feeling or the pain or the energy that's there.
You can do that as well.
And get them to visit that in there. So, they generally have their eyes shut. They'll shut their eyes. They'll go and visit that pain. And then I'll get them to ask it. And it might sound mad, but it works every time. Ask that pain, what it is, and generally the answer comes out pretty much straight away. And then once you've got that response, get rid of all the fight and flight responses, switch off all the fight and flight responses and any guilt and shames underneath it, and generally that goes away very, very quickly.
Yes.
I've had a few people that have had really bad I.B.S. and they've been had it for ages and has really struggled with it, and in some cases I've got rid of it in like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just
Someone asked.
No, I don't know. I don't know whether it would cut off or not. I didn't know whether it would cut off or not.
No.
So I got rid of that really, really quickly, and they've not had it, and they've not got that back. So,
No.
I.B.S. for me, or I know there's different levels of it, but I found that really generally quite an easy conflict to switch off.
I.B.S. is very similar. Diarrhea and stuff like that's very similar. Switch off. Obviously, when you get colitis, Crohn's, it becomes a bit more complicated because most people have had it for a little bit longer. They've got a lot of belief systems around it, but it is still something you can't digest and swallow. So it'll take a little bit longer to resolve it, but it can be resolved. The lady with the disgust conflict I've been working with because she had gallbladder pain. That was a bigger conflict, and she had it for a lot longer. So it took time to resolve that. But after, I say time, it's taken about 4 weeks to resolve it. So it's not really a long process. We're still clearing bits and pieces with her. But it was a big conflict over many years, and being triggered in multiple ways as well. This other lady I've been treating, although it's more the ovaries, it was affecting the stomach. So it was ovary pain and then affecting going into stomach. So we've been able to resolve that in about 3 or 4 weeks.
Is that a lost conflict?
There's a lost conflict, there's a lost conflict. But it's also something she can accept and digest and things like that. So we managed to switch that off. That's switched off quicker because it's not so much in your environment anymore, it's past stuff.
Yeah. When we say, I just want to clarify, when we say switching it off, what we're doing is we're switching the signal off that's coming from the brain to that specific organ. So we're not like switching off the organ or what's going on or the pain just by switching it off. What happens is that every part of your body has a part of your organ is related to a certain part in your mind, in your brain, and in your subconscious. And what happens is that correlates in your brain to a specific organ. So what we're actually doing is we're telling the brain an instruction to stop sending that signal. And what we're actually doing is that's what we're switching off. We're switching off the signal that's being sent from the mind, the brain, to the organ. And that's what causes most things. And that's why when we say, we just switched it off and the pain went here and the pain went there, we're not switching off the pain theoretically in that organ. What we're actually doing is we're instructing the brain to resolve whatever the conflict is, and that then switches off the pain.
Yes. Yeah. The pain itself is being caused by the brain. So the traditional model of all pain is that the organ or the tissue that's being affected, you don't feel the pain there. It's only a signal from the brain that does that.
Yes.
So the tissue or the organ sends a signal to the brain, says there's something wrong. The brain sends that signal back as pain or something. And all we're doing is resolving a conflict. And by doing that, the brain no longer needs to send the signal because the problem has resolved. We're not switching it off and the problem's still there. We're switching it off and then the brain goes, the problem's gone.
Yeah.
Great. So we no longer need a signal.
I think most people have this misconception that when they feel a pain, there's something wrong with the organ or something wrong with the tissue or something wrong with the cells or there's something wrong inside their body. But actually it's not. It's generally where it's trapped energy, or we can hold energy there, trapped energy there, or obviously there's a conflict that's happened at our brains that affects that organ from a psychological and biological perspective, and that signal's now being transmitted like you just explained. And in order to get rid of that, we have to just get rid of the emotional response, the energy, and then get rid of whatever the conflict is.
Yeah,
that's all that's happening, and that's the same with mental health for depression, anxiety, PTSD, trauma, and beliefs. They're all basically exactly the same, except that those things are more of an energetic thing rather than a physical thing.
Yes, because you don't feel a physical symptom in the mind. Generally, you're feeling.
The one thing I do find is with anxiety, it'll go to the chest, and people find their chest closing in, or they get a lot of chest.
That's because That's because the attacked feeling is part of the bronchi. So that's why it hits the chest. That's why it hits the chest, because the attack feeling. That part of your brain there is the bronchial arch ganglia. So it's all part of the bronchi. Yeah. And that's why people get that there. Yeah. And then the powerless is the thyroid. So again, you're getting the thyroid and the bronchi at the same time. Yeah. So it affects the chest. It feels like it's tightening in.
Yeah, and so quite often when I'm working on people with anxiety, they say, "Oh, my chest is really tight," or they get angry and they'll go to the chest as well.
Chest, yeah.
And so we just switch those off really. But other than that, generally depression and anxiety and other stuff is really an energetic thing. It's more of a thing in the mind. Like with PTSD, you've got images that you'll see,
Images,
and
sounds,
they will trigger image sounds, and they'll trigger those feelings. Whereas they're more feelings an energetic thing. Whereas what we're talking about, it's exactly the same, but it's manifesting in the body in a physical way because the conflict's different and affects a specific organ. Yeah. I'd probably say that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, and people think the same thing with physical pain as well. So many people come to me and they think their physical pain means there's something wrong with them or they're damaged in some way. Yeah. And that's not what physical musculoskeletal pain is trying to tell you. It's trying to tell you there's something wrong, but doesn't mean that part of your body is broken or damaged and can't be fixed. That is a traditional model. That's a traditional thing. A doctor will say, "Oh, you're broken, you're damaged, we can't fix you." Like a lady with a wrist, and the pain. She just wasn't addressing the right problem.
Yeah. But the problem with the model with the medicine is they will look at the symptom and the effect, or the symptom and not the cause. And this is what's going on all the time.
That's right. That's what happens all the time. And you just have to look at it differently. Once you start looking at it differently with anything, once you start realizing that what you're feeling in the body is not a symptom, it's a reaction.
A good way of putting it.
Okay, so at the moment, I don't know. Maybe I've not mentioned this on the before, but so when
maybe I've not
mentioned on the podcast before. So the way I view pain, physical pain, but anything else really, it's the same thing. Is that at the moment the traditional model is you go with a symptom, and they're calling it a symptom. So let's say you go with sciatic numbness down the leg. They'll say, well, that's your symptom. The numbness is a symptom. They'll then look in you and go, "Oh, you've trapped the sciatic nerve, that's the cause." And then all therapies will be aimed at treating the cause, which is the trapped nerve.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't work. That will never work in a million years. Same thing for stomach problems. You go, "Okay, right, well, I've been experiencing stomach
pain. Take some Alka-Seltzer.
Yeah, well, okay, that's a treatment.
I don't know if my doctor speaks like that.
He might do. Is he can? Have you just outed your doctor?
I just have, yes.
I don't have a doctor, so I don't know. I haven't been to doctors in years, which I'm actually quite pleased about now because this whole NHS can't contact me, so I don't exist. But we won't get on the subject of existence because that's the whole big conflict. Do any of us exist?
I don't know. It's all holographic. It's all energetic.
It's all energetic. That's true. So anyway, but the point is, if you go to the doctor with a stomach problem, they'll go, "Well, that's a symptom. The pain in the stomach is a symptom." Yeah. They'll look inside and they might go, "Well, your lining of your stomach is inflamed. That's the cause." So then try and treat that. That is not the way to look at a problem. The way to look at a problem, and the reason
is what's making the stomach inflamed.
Yes, but you have to start from a different point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've got to go. The symptom you experience is not a symptom. So the pain in the stomach or the tingling down the leg is a reaction. Then you look at what's happening in the body. So the line of the stomach is inflamed or the nerve in the back is trapped. That is now the symptom. And then you go, right, well, what caused that?
Yes.
That's the way you must look at it. If you want to solve a problem, that is your whole thing right there. What you're going to is a reaction. What you're experiencing is a reaction. What's happening in the body is a symptom. Then you go, what causes the symptom? Once you understand the illness and disease like that, then you can solve it. And it doesn't matter what it is, whatever's causing it, you can then look at the cause of it. But you can't do it while you think the symptom in the body is the cause, because you're never going to solve it like that.
Well, no, you won't.
It won't solve it in a million years, and that's where they just get it wrong. That's where they go wrong every single time.
Yeah, and that's why people get stuck and have that for years and years and years and years, and put on medication for years and years and years and years and years, and etc. etc. etc.
Yeah,
and then the stories you've told me where people have had stuff for 20 years, 30 years, and you come in and got it in 4 weeks because you've just gone to, you're not dealing with the symptom, you've actually gone to the cause and switching off whatever the conflict is, and then it heals up. Yeah, almost instant.
Yeah, and the other thing is the labels for the symptoms, that people have, like arthritis. So I saw a lady recently, and she was referred to me by her son, and she'd had sciatic pain for a long time, been going to chiropractor, not getting anywhere, and within a few weeks we'd resolved it. But she also had pain in her foot, and the pain in her foot was arthritis. Yeah. Now you hear arthritis, that is a symptom. Apparently it's a label for a symptom, but all that means is that the bone is overcalcifying. It's inflamed, or it's producing too much bone. But that's not the important bit. People hear arthritis and go, "Oh my god, I'm knackered." No, it's the muscles, it's the joint. So all I did was manipulate the joint, loosen it all off, relax the muscles, and once I did that, the foot felt a million times better for her.
Yeah.
Now, she was really nervous that I did that to begin with, because she was going, oh, no, it hurts. I'm like, just relax, breathe. That's not technically what she came to me for. But
to relax and breathe.
But to relax and breathe.
Yeah.
No, she didn't come to me that. She came to me very stressed and not breathe.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. That's a doctor. So once I released the foot, she was amazed at how much better the foot felt.
Yeah.
But you hear a symptom, and that's another problem with symptoms. You hear the label for the symptom, and it freaks you out because you've been told something that's not true.
We were just talking about cancer.
Talking about that with cancer. You hear the word cancer, and you freak out, and your immediate belief for cancer is, "Oh my God, I'm going to die."
Yeah.
And if that's because traditional medicine do not understand cancer, and neither do people. If you actually understood cancer from a meta model, it would make much more sense to you. It would explain all the reasons why it happens and why it occurs, and why people go in and out of remission, and it will explain everything. Not that I'm going to talk about that on this podcast, because cancer is a bigger conflict in the world, and you're not allowed to say this or that about it.
Yeah.
Because the medical company don't like you doing that.
Yeah. Well, I know a guy. There's a guy that I follow. His name's Dr. Robert O. Young.
Yep.
He's an amazing virologist. He knows. I mean, he's the one that's. Anyway, he knows all about viruses and cell work and blood work. He knows everything. It's people that he's healed and solved. But anyway, he basically was imprisoned for coming up with a cure for it.
Yeah.
So, and apparently, I think it was in the 1960s. It's I don't know, 60s, or I think it was the 60s or 50s. It's actually illegal to.
It's illegal now, is it?
It's illegal
to have a cure for it.
To have a cure for it.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. That's amazing.
It's
isn't
actually
it?
illegal.
So they've made it illegal to cure something that on TV they're constantly claiming you must give money for to cure it, and yet it's illegal to cure it.
Yeah.
But no, my mentor who taught me mental health, he used to specialize in that because his mum died of cancer when he was 12. And since he was 12, he'd been looking for a solution, an answer to why she died.
Yeah.
And then he stumbled upon meta, and then explained it perfectly, why she had the cancer, why she passed. And he used to work, I don't know if he does now, but he used to work with cancer quite a bit. I don't. It's not what I do. I have your person ask me, but there's so many belief systems and family members get involved that I don't get involved. It's not my expertise. But once I learned the meta basis for it, it really explained exactly why it happens, why it occurs, how it occurs. And it made perfect sense. And I've seen people around me, and I can understand why it's affected them and why they've then gone.
Yeah, I mean, because historically, a lot of people don't survive from it. A big chunk of people don't survive from it.
Well, that's often a belief. That's often basically because the therapy they use kills you. Yeah. And because chemotherapy is literally mustard gas. So for people who don't know, chemotherapy is mustard gas. So you're literally blasting your body with mustard gas. Good luck with that. And that's just pointless. And the belief system is so strong that people have that, oh my God, I'm going to die. So they often very, very quickly do.
Yeah. So if you have an subconscious acceptance of that, it's the same with anything, not just, No,
the same with anything. What you believe will become your reality. I know that sounds astronomical, and people are going to go, no, you can't believe you're going to kill. Of course you can. Yeah. If you can't see that by now.
No, but most people go for that from a logical perspective. They don't understand that it's an unconscious belief. It's
unconscious. You're not walking around going, oh my God, I'm going to die. But unconsciously, whatever you believe will be your reality.
Yeah, we will manifest it.
So if you are instilled, that's why this whole thing is a problem that's happening in the world, because they're instilling so much fear that it's now manifested into a bigger problem than there was actually there to begin with.
Yeah.
And in fact, there was no problem, and there is no problem. But the cancer, that is a bigger conflict because there's so much fear around it, and people just don't understand it.
Yeah.
And you never hear of people getting better from it, but so many people get better from it naturally around the world, but you will never hear about it in mainstream media or from doctors, because that would be terrible, because that means people actually get better from it. And not just from doing what we do necessarily, but from doing other things, people heal from it. And they get better time and time again, but you just don't hear about it. So what me and Steve's saying is not a brand new revelation. We hear people healing themselves with cancer all the time. Well, you're just not allowed to do it.
Funny you should say that, because Bobby's just come up. I cured my tumour based on mental health, no operation or treatment.
Exactly. See? So Bobby,
perfect timing, Bob.
Well done, Bob. And so there's a living example there of a lady who healed her tumour herself and dumbfounded the medical profession. Yeah. And it happens a lot. You just don't hear about it. Yeah. So we've slightly gone off track. But it goes back to the thing, whatever you're experiencing, whatever you're suffering with, it's a reaction. It's not a symptom, and whatever's happening in the body is not a cause. It's a symptom.
I just hope what we talked about hasn't caused a digestive issue where people can't swallow that.
Or
digest it.
Well, there's some people who won't be able to swallow and digest it, and that's absolutely fine. We're fine with that.
Yeah. No, but it does go down to a lot into the beliefs and stuff. Which
the beliefs are very, very powerful. Seriously, I mean, so powerful. I don't know if I ever mentioned the story that first put me on to how powerful beliefs are. So when I was younger and I was first getting into all this, I started getting into meditation, and I didn't really like the idea of meditation, but I stumbled upon something called the Ultra Mind Method, and the Ultra Mind Method was created by Jose Silva, I believe. And he created it not from a spiritual point of view, woohoo, hugging trees, but from a way to improve your mind, a way to improve your memory and to focus and to be more productive. So I was like, oh, that's cool. So I was on board with it then, because I was like, okay, it's not a spiritual hugging tree thing. It's not to find myself, because I wasn't into that back then. Because I knew where I was. I was on my bed in my bedroom on my laptop. So I didn't really understand that concept. But I understand it now, obviously. But again, I'm sitting in your kitchen on this stool. Yes. So
you are.
I am, yeah. And as I posted a few weeks ago on Facebook, everyone said, stop trying to find yourself. Just unlearn the things that aren't you. That's the easiest way of doing it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. So I started learning the sort
what you could do is just have loads of distractions.
You could do.
So
what like?
Take a hobby up.
Yeah,
go drinking.
Go on Facebook. Which everyone's watching us on now. Right now.
Yeah. Watch us. That's a distraction.
Watch us. Yeah, that's a distraction. We're distracting you right now. Stop watching. Go outside in nature.
Go for a run. Go down the gym.
Yeah. Anything.
Really, Don't deal with the problem. Just do something that makes you feel better, and then call that healing.
And call it exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So on the that's what many of us should do.
That's what everyone's doing.
So on this page, that the sales page, if you like, for the it told this story of this guy in the 1950s who basically came down with Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer. And for those who don't know, that's where your lymph nodes literally swell up to the size of tennis balls. And it's a very painful condition, apparently. I've never experienced it, never known anyone with it. And basically, his lymph nodes were just swelling up. And he went to the hospital, and the hospital literally gave him 3 days to live, I think, at the time. This was on a Friday. So he's going to be dead by Monday. So they said, well, there's nothing we can do, but we have something we can try. So he actually had nothing else left, and we had nothing to lose. So they said, we've got this new drug that could help, but we don't know if it will. So he took the new drug, and within 3 days, by Monday, he was 50% better. 10 days later, he was 100% better. He was released from hospital, and the cancer had gone. And all the x-rays showed it had gone. So he went home. Fantastic. Really felt great. So about 2 months later, an article came out in a newspaper stating this new drug that he'd given him may not be as effective as first thought. Within a few days, he's admitted back to hospital. All the symptoms have come back again. So the doctor, luckily it was the same doctor, because you wouldn't get her these days, decided to try an experiment. He said to the man that it wasn't that the drug doesn't work, it's that it was a bad batch. We'll inject you with a full, proper batch, and you'll be fine. But he actually injected him with water. 3 days later, the man was 50% better. 10 days later, he was 100% better, released from hospital, no symptoms. 2 months later, an article came out in a newspaper stating that this drug was no more use than a cup of coffee. And 3 days later, this man died of lymphatic node cancer.
Yeah.
When I read that, I went, shit, I've got to work on my belief systems.
Yes.
And I realized the power of my belief systems from that story.
Yeah.
And that's where I went on to meditation, learn tapping, and to where I am today, and created what I've created. But that is how powerful your beliefs are. So no, and as people say to me, well, I believe in being a millionaire. Where is it? Yeah. That's a moronic behavior to.
But that's it's a logical belief, not a subconscious belief.
Seriously, that's not the way that works. If you create everything that you believed instantly, every time you thought something, it would appear in the room. Grey elephant, it would just appear.
No, but that's not the way it works. No, but you got to, when it's a belief, it's got to be 100%.
It has to be 100%.
You can't have a 99. I say this to people that come into me, about if you went up to a vending machine, right, and you got to buy a bottle of water, and the bottle of water is £1, and you've got 99p, and you put 99p in that machine,
that's right.
That's nearly 100, 99p,
Yeah,
that's almost 100. How much water do you get out?
Nothing.
None. You put 99% in and get nothing out.
That's right.
That's the same with life. If you don't put 100% in, you don't get out what you put in. Most people think they put 100% in. They don't. They'll put in 30%, 50%, 70%, 90%. They don't put in 100%, and they wonder why they don't get the thing that they want. And that's the same with beliefs. You've got to believe it 100%. It's got to be completely immersed in as part of who you are.
You've got to be able to see it,
truly believe, right? It's 100%. If you just believe it 95%, you ain't getting any water out of the vending machine. The belief will not manifest.
No.
So, that's where a lot of people get massively confused and mixed up about beliefs. And what you believe. And I say this all the time, you need to be 100% believe. If you really want something and really believe it, it will happen. Because subconsciously your brain will navigate you to the outcome without you even realizing that you're doing it.
Yeah. But if there's any doubt or there's any fear or there's any worry, no, ain't going to happen. Not in a million years.
Not in a million years.
And that's what you can change it so it does happen. So
which is what we do with DCO by switching those beliefs off.
So you do believe it 100%, but it's still not going to happen if you don't believe it 100%.
Yeah.
So beliefs are hugely powerful.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful what you think and feel, you can have a problem.
Well, I was speaking to the guy yesterday, my friend. He turned around, we was talking about this and I was making him a coffee, and he said, so what you're basically saying is that if you think that about being sick or think about an illness, you can basically make yourself get that sickness and illness. And I'm like, basically, that's what we're saying. Yeah. And he picked that up after 5 minutes of the conversation. So so all these people, and I do feel sorry for them, but the people that are in that victim state or are a bit hypochondriac or really believe that they're ill all the time, ultimately they're not.
No,
they're looking for sympathy, attention, all the rest of it. But what's going to happen is them beliefs all of a sudden will manifest later in their life, and they'll start having the things that they pretend that they have. So that's very dangerous.
I actually did this when I was younger. When I first got into this, and I was doing a lot of tapping at the time. But long before I met Steve or had DTO, I actually created a sty on my eye.
Did you?
And
how many pigs did you get in it?
No, I didn't get many at all. No. I only got one. And so basically, I used to watch a TV program called 2.5 Men. Don't judge me on that; it's a very funny TV show. And in that TV show, one of the characters had a really bad sty, and he was the comedy character in it. And it literally shut his whole eyelid up and everything. But I remember watching that, and because of what I do, and I was curious, and I remember the thoughts. The thought went through my head. I only said bread then. The thought went through my bread. Yeah. Why did it go through my bread? I don't even have bread. The thought.
I used to watch that. I was watching bread while you were watching 2.5 Men.
I know. Nellie Boswell. My name's Avalon. I'm from Liverpool.
You're getting better with them accents.
I know. I'm not as good as you. I know. Hang around you. So I literally watched this program, and my thought was, "Oh, I wonder what that's like." And then 2 months later, I developed a sty, and I swear this is the way I got rid of it. I developed a sty.
Did you rub a wedding ring on it?
No, I didn't. No. How would that work?
That's what my mum used to say. I'll get a sty, get a bit of gold, wedding ring, and rub a wedding ring.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, I have no idea about that. I didn't have a wedding ring. I was like in my 20s, whatever it was.
That's why I was so messed up as a kid. I had all these mad beliefs.
You got those bollocks running around your head.
What are you doing, man? You got a sty. I'm trying to help you.
Yeah. It's like that one. Oh, we got wet hair. You're going to get a cold. Oh, do me a favour. Yeah. What? Seriously?
Wet hair, get a cold.
So anyway, I remembered that I had this thought about this TV show. And it popped in my brain. I was tapping for the sty on the symptoms going, even though I got this sty. Yeah. And I remember it popped in my head. I remembered I had this thought. So I tapped on that thought, and I swear to God, as I tapped on that thought, the sty popped and the fluid in it run down my eye, and it vanished.
Nice. I bet that was a lovely sight.
Just because I'd wondered what it was like, and I'd created the symptom myself.
Yeah.
That was a real eye-opening, if you pardon the pun.
Yeah, I was going to say, I shut them, innit?
It was no, it never got as bad as that. It never shut my eye. But it was a real eye-opening how powerful I am to create symptoms. And that can be a problem as well. You can create things, and you're so powerful. I've got a client in America, and she has anxiety, but she creates some of it to stop herself from moving forwards. So some of the anxiety was genuinely created by the shocks and the feeling attacked and powerless. But her unconscious is using it now
as a secondary gain
to stop her from moving forwards. And that's how powerful she is.
Yeah.
And one of her belief systems is, which is an ironic loop, is that she she doesn't want to switch it off, because then she'll be even more powerful and create more problems. So, so it loops and it creates more and more problems.
We got someone here, hello Smooth Legend, and they've just written up on here, and they said, have you guys heard of constant belching, constant fullness of air and gas?
Well, I mean, I've heard of people who have constant gas, yes, and constant fullness in the stomach. And again, I would say that would be a conflict of, not that I'm an expert at diagnosing organs, I'm not, but I would say that would be a conflict of the gallbladder, and you're just got something that disgusts you. So think about the situation. Think about before the symptoms came on, what happened that you couldn't digest that disgusted you? What happened that you couldn't accept or believe that was disgusting to you? Because a lot of gas is released from the gallbladder, so it's going to be around that type of conflict. So if you just think back to before the symptoms came on, that whole period of time, what was going on that you couldn't digest that disgusted you? Because that's basically what it's going to be. It actually doesn't matter what the label is for the problem. It only matters what the organ is that's being affected.
Because then you can identify the conflicts.
Yeah, because every organ has its own conflict attached to it. So once we know the organ reaction, this precise organ reaction, then we know what the conflict is. Now, obviously, I'm saying a lot of gas is created by the gallbladder. Now, maybe it's created by another organ that I don't know about. But once we know the organ reaction, then we can find the conflict and be very specific. So in my knowledge about that right now, it would be a discussed conflict. And I did have a client years ago who did have that problem, and she actually helped me write my book. She was just constantly, her stomach was full. She was never overweight or anything, but her stomach was constantly gassy and full. And that was one of the symptoms we got rid of as a side effect of clearing stuff up. We didn't actually work on that specifically because she had loads of symptoms. We worked on her anxiety at the time, and we worked on her pain and her belly button phobia. But that went as a direct result of clearing stuff out of her system, and she could go and eat wheat again and things and have red wine again. So I have sort of treated it indirectly, and I've treated this lady recently who's had the gallbladder pain, which was giving her pain in the stomach and bloating in the stomach. Whether she hasn't had that diagnosed as what the Smooth Rider has just said.
Yes.
But it is a conflict of that. So I would look at that, and yes, that anything can be resolved. My belief is that if you didn't come into this world with a problem, you shouldn't have the problem now. And I'd even argue if you came into it to a certain degree. So if you've got the problem, something created it. And all we're saying is that in our experience, the thing that created it are traumas, triggers, behaviors, belief systems. And once you find those specific things, take them out, the symptom or the problem goes away.
Or a
95% of the
shock
time.
in your environment. If you see something in your environment that you know that's a bit of a shock, it's about how you perceive things. I might see something and it wouldn't bother me, but John might all of a sudden perceive that in a different way, and it might affect his kidney because someone might have been abandoned, and it wouldn't bother me. So it all depends on us individually. But yeah, basically that's it. Really. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. And you know, and going back to what you said about different organs have different conflicts. I had a client who came to me for depression and anxiety and other things. And whilst I was working with her kidney started playing up. Yeah. And, you know, I found out that it was, you know, the kidneys and abandonment conflict.
Yep.
She'd been in and out of hospital for 35 years with kidney problems and on drugs. I'd even removed one of her kidneys. And all I did was find those conflicts of abandonment and went through her whole life removing all of those. Took me 2 sessions. And then I believe since then she's not been back to hospital since those kidney problems have stopped. Right. So when you know that organ relates to a certain conflict, the conflict is abandonment, and the abandonment conflict affects the kidney. So get rid of those and the kidney heals.
And that explains the myth that we're all different. So the myth is that our health and wellness, we're all different. So it could be all different things. Bollocks. The organ is a thing that reacts, not you. Yes, it's your perception of it that might be different, but it's your organ that's responding. And all people's organs respond exactly the same way. The kidneys respond to isolation and abandonment conflicts. The gallbladder is a disgust conflict. The stomach is a digestive issue. Your muscles and skin are self-worth issues. Your anxiety is feeling attacked or powerless. Everyone's organ reacts the same way because it's biological. It has nothing to do with our personalities or our character. Nothing. So when someone says, "Oh, we're all different," so it could be something different. No, it's not. Your organ reaction is always going to be the same.
Yes, 100%. And that's why we're successful in what we do so well, is because we've only got to learn it once for one person.
And
then
it's the same for every person has that same symptom.
Same symptom, yeah.
The only thing that's different is the belief systems they might have incurred along their journey.
Yeah.
So if they've got a belief system, they have to live with it. That's might be different from the other person over here who believes it's hereditary,
and that's
or
why
another person over here, and that's what's different.
That's why you got to be very careful about who you go and see when you do have a problem, because you go to a person who's got letters after their name, been to university, trained, and you see them as an authority. And when you get told some information which is the wrong information, and you buy into that 100%. Belief, 100% belief, 100% belief. You buy into that, what that person tells you, and it's incorrect. You're now stuck with that belief, and it's very, very hard to shift. Then Jonathan or myself comes on and goes, no, it's that. You'll go, oh, yeah, no, but my specialist said, my physio said, man, this person said, the osteopath said this, that, my therapist said. And the problem is that if you're getting bad advice, and you believe that advice, because that's when we're most vulnerable, because we're looking for help, because we're in pain, or that's when we're most vulnerable. We'll attach ourselves to anything because we think it's going to make us better. The problem is that once we have that as a belief, that now will cause a problem, because it will stop you going and find an alternative solution that is correct, or it will keep you stuck with the problem.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and a lot of times the people they'll go to these people, doctors and things, because they have instilled in people that they are the people who know.
Yes.
And now me and Steve, we don't have letters after our name, but we do have letters in our name.
Yeah.
And I think that's the right place to have letters.
Yeah.
So it's not important what qualification somebody has, or what's important is, does that person does you know
what I mean? Kids out like, you know what I mean? It's like does and don'ts.
Yeah. Does that person treat the cause of the problem? If they don't treat the cause of the problem, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You're not going to get anywhere.
I think was it Tony Robbins said, someone asked him, how are you doing all of this? And he goes, what qualifications have you got?
Yeah.
And he said, I've got a PhD in results.
That's correct. That's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
In fact, I heard another story about Tony Robbins the other day. Tony Robbins, this is coming second hand to a book I was reading.
A second-hand book?
A second-hand book from a bookshop, yeah, no. And I was reading it with two hands as well.
Second-hand?
Second-hand, yeah. So apparently he went off and studied NLP. He became so proficient in it that he wanted to, in the first few weeks, he wanted to go and start treating people immediately. And his instructor said to him, you can't do that, you're not qualified. He went, sod not qualified, I know how to help people.
Yeah.
Went off. He was actually chucked out of the program, but he's now... Yeah. So he has no qualification in NLP, but Tony Robbins is massive and helps people all the time.
Well, so
because he treats the root cause of the problem.
It's no different to me.
No.
It's no different to me. All I did was I knew that I wanted to solve my problem. I did everything and went everywhere looking to help to try and solve my problem, because I was like, I just needed to get better and wanted to be a better person and be better every day, and I was not in a good place. And then obviously I found you and then started working with you. And then once I'd learned the process, all I had to then do was start working with people, and very, very quickly, in just a few years, I've gone from dealing with people's depression and anxiety to doing all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Now, I have all my training, and I haven't got any letters after my name, but all my training is through experience, through doing it and getting results, not from a textbook, not from somebody telling me that this is what it is and this is how you do it and all the rest of it, because in my experience, all the people that I went to that learnt that didn't do shit for me. Nothing. Actually made me worse. So I believe that people that are doing it through experience and actually get the results are the people you really want to be going to see. But sounds like we're selling ourselves here, mate. But
no, I'm not saying. No, it doesn't matter who you go to, as long as you go to someone who treats the root cause of the problem.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there are people out there who haven't got a clue what they're talking about, and they haven't got letters after name either. But I'm not saying you shouldn't be qualified in something, because you should. But ultimately, it's more when people try and find an expert in something, they don't choose someone who solved the bloody problem for some reason. They choose someone who has letters after their name, has got lots of qualification. Yeah. If you want to choose someone as an expert in something, choose someone who's either A, solved it in themselves, B, solved it in other people, at least more than 10, or C, both. Yeah. They've solved it themselves and other people.
And be careful.
Because they are experts.
Yeah.
They know how it works. A doctor has never sold anything anybody.
No.
It doesn't.
He writes things on bits of paper.
He writes prescriptions, or she, I don't want to be sexist. Yeah. He writes prescription, or they write prescriptions.
Or them.
Or them, exactly, yeah. fucking LGBTHFDC. Seriously, grow up.
They're playing WHUFC tomorrow.
Oh, fantastic, brilliant.
No, I just want to say, you got to be very careful about experts because there's people that claim to be experts. You got to remember, X is an unknown quantity, and the spurt is a glorified drip.
Exactly.
So you're very careful about experts.
Yeah. So, and don't get me wrong, people out there might be saying that about us as well. But the thing is, we've done it in people.
No, we're just glorified drips.
We're just glorified drips. That's true.
We're not unknown quantities.
No. I don't know. I am.
No, but we get results.
We get results.
Very rarely.
So you want to find, if you're looking for an expert in something, find out whether they've solved it in themselves or whether they've solved it in other people.
Yeah, 100%.
Not whether they've just created a therapy that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, because that's not the same thing.
Or a therapy where you have to keep coming back week after 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 week. Like some woman I had round here was in a chiropractor for 7 years.
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
well, haven't you worked out yet that it's not doing you any good?
Yeah.
But because she thinks that it's doing her good.
Yeah,
the belief it's doing her good keeps her going back 7 years.
Yeah, the client I treated came from the chiropractor and got referred to me, believing that she was never going to get rid of her sciatica. We got rid of it a few weeks. I saw her the other day and she said, I went to see my chiropractor the other day. And bear in mind, she's fine now. Went to see my chiropractor the other day. I'm still going to go and see him for maintenance. And I'm like, so I said to her, that's okay, it's totally fine. But the belief system is so ingrained in this person that she didn't realise that she's just having a spine click for no reason now. I mean, well, you don't need that. So I said to her, you don't need it less now. You maybe every 6 weeks or every 2 months, whatever. Yeah. But again, the beliefs are so ingrained, so be careful what you believe, and find someone who has either cleared it themselves or they've cleared it in other people multiple times over.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I couldn't agree more. So just rounding off then. So when we go talk about these digestive issues, do you want to just summarise and basically just in a short few paragraphs, just basically tell the people that are watching that may be suffering with digestive problems, what's probably causing them, and
so basically.
Solution is. Mr. Grimsdale.
Oh, Mr. Grimsdale. So basically, if you're suffering a digestive system,
you're keen tonight.
I'm keen tonight.
You're really keen.
If you're suffering a digestive, well, you're taking a long time to spit it out.
I'm just nice and calm and relaxed.
Are you nice and calm and
relaxed? Perhaps it's 3:30.
How are you nice and calm? You should be asleep. So if
I am,
you are asleep. Wow. If this is you asleep, I don't see you when you're awake. Right. So, what's I saying? I don't remember. So, if you've got a stomach problem, write down the date and the time, or not the time, but write down the date roughly when a stomach problem happened. So think back, when did it happen? What year? And also the month if you can. And then go, right, before that happened, so if it happened in, say, 2011, go, right, before 2011, what happened that I couldn't accept or digest? That's it. Just ask that question in your brain. What happened?
It could be a loss of a family member. It could have been a loss of a job. It could have been a loss of a relationship. It could have been, a whole host of things which you just can't digest. Things happen, you just can't believe it or accept it.
It might be one thing, it might be multiple things, as Steve said. Doesn't matter what it is, write down whatever comes up. Even if you don't think it's relevant, just make a list. And it might take 2 or 3 days for it to come to you. It might not come straight away. You might get one come straight away. And over the next few days, you'll get a few more happen. And write a list of all the things that you couldn't accept and digest before you had the symptoms. If it's a gas thing or bloating, then write down all the things that were disgusting to you, and make a list of those things, and then look at them and go, right, what one of them's being triggered in my environment today? How are they being triggered now? Because most people, when you say stress, people go, well, I'm not stressed. Because they think the stress must be right now. If they're stressed.
Yeah, no, but I think most people have a different conception of stress. They think stress is when they get really angry and irritated and that's what they put with stress. What they don't realise is stress, that's probably like one tiny little bit of stress.
Small percent stress.
Small percent of stress. Stress is a lot more underneath that.
Yeah. So stress usually comes from the past and is being triggered now. That's the usual way it works. Something happened in your past and it's being triggered now. So if your digestive system is playing up, it's probably being triggered. It doesn't mean the shock has happened now. It's possible.
Or in the present moment.
Or even a few days. It's probably being triggered from something in the past. So the first thing to do is write down what happened to do with something you couldn't digest before you had the symptoms. And that goes for anything. Any symptom you have, reaction you have in the body, think about when it first started and write a list of what could have happened before you had it. Now, if you don't know what the organ is, because we're only talking about digestive systems, if you're talking about anxiety, go back and look at our anxiety video and work out, and we'll tell you what the conflict is, and you can work out what happened before you got anxiety. If you're having pain, look at some of our other videos, and we'll tell you it tells you on there what some of the pains are, and you can work out what happened before you got the pain. If you're not sure, message us. We'll tell you what the conflict is, and you can work out what it happened before you had the symptom.
Yes.
We don't charge you for telling you what the conflict is.
So, I do.
Oh, Steve does. Apparently.
Really expensive.
Very expensive on that one.
£500 a word.
£500 a word.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm £1,000 a loud.
Wow.
Yeah, I am.
You're still ain't got any after your name.
I know, exactly. It is. Yeah, because that'd be more expensive. That's why I don't have any after me now.
I know.
So
no, we don't.
No, we don't charge. So just leave a comment. You know, or if it's personal, just message us privately, and we'll say, well, it's this conflict, and then you can write a list of everything that happened before you had the symptoms to do with that conflict, and then you are starting on the right track to finding out what's causing your problems. Yeah. Because once you start seeing that, once you start getting, oh, that's what it is that happened in the past, then you can start spotting your triggers in the present.
The other thing as well is in some instances, the pain or the issue will relieve because unconsciously you're not stressing about why you've got it. Yeah. You'll get some unconscious resolution, and it can actually help relieve it just by knowing that.
In a percentage of people, I've actually found the symptoms have lifted almost completely just by going, oh, is that what it is?
Yes.
Got it. And then because the unconscious is trying to give you a message, it's trying to say, hello, something's wrong.
I just want to say, people need to understand is that the body is the subconscious. Mm. And because our body can't speak, the only way it can communicate back to us is through feelings and pains. So when we get feelings in our body and pains in our body, it's actually something that's going on in our subconscious. Our subconscious is our body. So if you've got something wrong in your body, there's something wrong in your subconscious. It's not the conscious, the logical brain. That's a different part of the brain. Like I've said to you, and if you watch my videos, we've got 3 brains. But the logical brain is separate from the emotional brain, and the emotional brain is the mid-limbic, and it's the subconscious. So it's something that's going on in the subconscious that's making your body do that. That's the best way to explain it. Have I made it simple?
That's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, and that's all it is. So all we need to do is find out what the conflict is in the subconscious, and it will correlate to the body, and then we find out what the conflict is, and we can get rid of it, and then the pain goes away, or the problem goes away, the issue goes away.
Yes. So again, that's absolutely perfect way of explaining it. The subconscious is our body.
Yes.
And the body is trying to tell you something, but it's not trying to tell you there's something wrong, as in physically. It's trying to tell you that you're running a conflict. There's a belief running, there's an emotion running. There's something that needs to be addressed. And if you just start by understanding what happened before you had the symptom, that will start telling your unconscious. It will start you on that path of understanding what your unconscious is trying to tell you.
Yes.
And once you start getting that, as Steve said, some of the symptoms will lift.
And you're not going to do it trying to logically think about it, because that's when we go into the logical brain, that's when we make shit up and believe the shit we make up. And secondly, what we'll do is we'll try and analyze it and understand it. And that, again, that's not going to work because it's something that's going on in your unaware brain, in your subconscious, which you're not aware about. So your logical brain, trying to think about it or work it out, will have no relevance 99.99999% of the time. Whatever it is that's going on in your body, if you start trying to logically work out or why you think it's, oh, I know what it is, it's that food, that's that it's the KFC I had, it's this, it's that, you're just making up shit. And unfortunately, the problem with doing that is that if you believe that, you're going to take the wrong action. You're going to go and see the wrong person, the wrong therapist, the wrong thing to solve it. That's the problem of using the logical brain. When you understand it, you don't really want to be understanding or working out. You just need to go, right, hang on, there's an issue in my body, there's a pain, there's a problem. Then once you know that, you go, there's obviously got a conflict there that needs to be resolved, and go and find someone that's going to resolve the conflict unconsciously, not try and logically work it out and go, well, I need to go and do exercise, I need to go down the gym, I need to run, I need to do jogging, I need to change my diet. All nonsense. It's just where you've just made shit up and believe the shit you made up because you've heard information that people that don't really know what they're talking about has basically put out there, and because it makes sense, you go, oh yeah, that's what it is, I need to do that. Yeah, that's the problem, and that is a massive problem. So just be mindful that subconscious is the body. So if your body's playing up, it's a conflict in your subconscious.
Yeah, and I will say that a story that I totally forgot is I did suffer my own digestive issues quite a few years back. When I moved into my place on my own, once I moved out of my mum and dad's house, I suffered very severe digestive issues to the point where I could only eat certain foods, and it made me very, very ill. And that was a conflict of something I just couldn't digest and accept. It was multiple things running, and it really stopped me from having some of my favourite foods. And this is the point. This is what I want to make very clear. When we have digestive issues, it stops us having foods that we love, and we then remove those foods from our diet, and we remove the things that we like because we think that's the right thing to do, and our symptoms calm down. But if we accidentally have those things again, it flares up, and we think, oh, I must stay away from those things. Yeah. I was able to heal
colitis.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I was able to heal that, my stomach issues. Now, my stomach issues were never diagnosed with anything because I don't go to doctors. But it was very severe to the point I was being sick and I had to sleep upright. I couldn't sleep laying down because I'd get severe heartburn. That's basically what it was. It was very severe heartburn, but it did affect my lower stomach as well. And I could barely eat some of the foods that I was having. And I really had to reduce my diet to begin with. But I was able to resolve all of that and heal it. This was way before I DTO, though, by the way. I was able to resolve it and heal it. And I went back to eating all the foods that I do eat now. And I don't have those same symptoms. So I have experienced digestive issues myself. I totally forgot about it. So I do understand. But I was able to heal it and resolve it so I could go back and eat the foods that I love again, like chocolate, biscuits and things like that. Now, I'm not saying whether they're good or bad for you. I'm just saying I was able to do that. And a lot of people, they aren't able to do that. They just control it with nutrition. They get stuck and they end up stop having things that they enjoy eating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Okay, cool. So I think we might have covered that. We've spent a good hour. I didn't think it was going to be that long, talking about that long, but we have covered that. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to write in both the feeds, either if you're watching it on the Inside Out Effect or on my feed. I've just got Hev here saying, "Thank you, Steve. It's happening to me right now. Now I know." Okay, great. So that's good. I'm glad that we've been able to help you. Yeah. And hello over there in Spain. I hope you're really good and hope you're well. So Bobby posted something about. She said because obviously she's solved her cancer with a tumor. She said we're talking about beliefs, and she said so true. The main thing to me to get me better was just the belief that I was fine, cured and well again. The mind is so powerful. Absolutely spot on, and that is true. We do manifest what we believe. So
the belief that you can heal is a big block for people. Yeah. The belief that you can get rid of something or you can solve it, that is one of the biggest stumbling blocks to getting people better. Yeah. Is actually believing it's possible.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Good. Okay, cool. Right. So we've covered that. I think we're going to move on to something a little bit lighter now. Okay. And which might not be lighter.
Might be like
depends on what people are watching.
Funniest things we heard this week.
So we're going to move on to the funniest thing that we've heard this week. Do you want to do your one?
I'll do my one.
Do your one first.
My one was, so I don't know if anyone follows American politics. I followed it for the last year to a certain degree because so everyone knows obviously Joe Biden is now apparently the president. We'll skip over that for a second.
Is it really Joe Biden?
Is he really? But he said in a recent speech, he said that 350 million Americans have been vaccinated. And I have to laugh at this because there are 350 million Americans.
330 in total.
I think it's 330. And the point is, he said this after he's been saying everyone needs to get vaccinated.
I know, so
he's been pushing for people to get vaccinated, and there aren't enough people being vaccinated, and yet 350 million Americans have been vaccinated.
All of them plus 20 million.
Exactly, yeah.
So I don't know where the extra 20 million have come from.
No, maybe do
I. Come across the border down in the south.
So now, if everyone out there's thinking, oh, that was just a mistake, if you've ever seen any of Joe Biden's speeches, you'll know he's a moron.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
He can't string a sentence together. But this was one of the funniest things I've heard out of his mouth in the last year that I've been following.
I did see that.
It did make me chuckle. I was like, you're having a laugh, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean...
And this is the leader of the free world. This is not just Joe Bloggs up the road. It's not just a politician or prime minister. This is the apparent leader of the free world.
Well, I'm going to say I don't think it is a free world anymore.
Well, no, it's not a free world.
It's leader of the tyrannical world.
The leader of the tyrannical world.
Yeah, the tyrannical world. Well, you know how long I have
a leader of the communist world.
Freedom of choice or anything.
No.
The communist world. Leader of the communist world.
Leader of the communist
world. He's the new Stalin.
Yes. What was your one?
My one was quite funny as well because I don't know if people will realise, but the test that they're using to detect whether people have got this virus,
PCR test,
is the Drosten PCR test. Now, what they found out is that the PCR test cannot and does not find infection. So everybody that's been isolated and had all these tests over the last 18 months
that they paid for,
and all of it, is basically not true because it can't actually can't actually detect a virus anyway.
No.
So anyway, so there's been all these lawsuits going out, and they keep using this PCR test and going, oh, cases, everybody. But all those cases aren't real because the PCR test can't detect the thing they're looking for. And on top of that, there's no proof that they've isolated the virus to test what they're looking for anyway.
That's right.
So in 2 instances, it's like, it's completely null and void, and we've been completely lied to.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The CDC, the Center for Disease Control in America, come out and have acknowledged that the test that they use has been found to be not worth its salt and it's no good, etc., etc. Okay, so what they come to realise now is this test doesn't work at all, but they're going to keep it in play until the 31st of December. So they're going to carry on using the test that they've acknowledged it doesn't work until the end of the year.
Yeah, brilliant.
Now, call me.
That's superb logic, isn't it?
That's so fucking mad.
Yeah, I know.
And the people that are going to still use that test and go, oh, bloody hell.
Yeah.
I can't go on a plane because I've got on a test that doesn't work.
It doesn't work. The actual people who said it worked.
And do you know what's even funnier?
What?
So what I then researched was, well, if they're going to remove the PCR test, they're not going to let this bullshit go away because they've just basically, they're on it. Because it's all. So what they're going to do is they're going to replace it with a thing called a lateral flow test.
Right.
Now, when I did the research on the lateral flow tests are less accurate than the PCR test. So they're now getting rid of the PCR test, which is 97% wrong,
inaccurate,
and replaced it with something which is less accurate than that. This world is mental. People are buying it all day long. It's absolutely crazy.
Mental.
It's so funny. But that's the funniest thing.
But the funniest part about that is, forget the whole what's going on. The funniest part about it is that a governing body has announced something doesn't work
and carry on using
it for another 4 months or wherever it is. So I'm like, what was it? August, October, November. So four.
It's like going to a garage and the mechanic's going. You say, well, he goes, well, we need to change that battery, mate. I've got the wrong spanner, but I'm going to carry on trying to use it. Anyway. And you're like, you haven't had a car for 4 months. Nah. Well, I can't change the spanner until the 31st of December. I'll get a new spanner then. And like, you just wouldn't do it.
No, exactly.
But they're going to do it upon this.
So good luck with that. And good luck to everyone who's still paying for it.
Yeah, exactly. And believe in it.
And
we did say it right at the beginning. Yeah, I know that it's just Steve and John, but
Yeah, of course. Anyway,
so moving on. Okay, great. So what we're going to do now, obviously, is going to the my favourite bit.
Your favourite bit. Always your favourite bit. Forget the knowledge that we share and all the people who comment and say thank you for sharing that and thank you and all the information we give to people, the amount of people we hear help us. This is your favourite bit.
My favourite bit.
Brilliant.
Great. So what happened on this day? Just to lighten up the conversation.
Go on. What happened on this day?
We do get a bit intense.
I got a bit intense, didn't we?
Passionate.
I'm very passionate, very intense sometimes. You ask my girlfriend.
Yes.
Oh no. What?
Right.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
Yeah. Great.
She's not watching.
She is watching actually because I've just seen her name come up.
Oh,
on the feed.
Okay.
So, hello, Em. How you doing, darling?
It just came up as soon as I said
I'll be calling you
that.
later.
Brilliant. What will you be calling her?
We were talking about you.
Yeah, okay.
Right. Tell him as well. You might want to get him a new deck chair because that one looks like it's a bit worn out. Been away from Brighton for the weekend or down Bournemouth, Southend. I see a load of them down Leon-C when I took my boy down there for an ice cream.
No, we
done a video with him.
We were going to go down the seafront, but we thought I'd just put the shirt on instead. It's just like the same thing.
Some bloke come up and started just sitting down eating the shit. Some bloke come and sat on you. Oh, what are you doing, mate?
Exactly, yeah.
Right. Okay, so let's start on this day. So I find this very interesting. If you like a little bit of trivia or knowledge, it's more knowledge really, it's not trivia. But I will start with in 1709, the first ascent in a hot air balloon was done by Bartholomew de Grasma, and that was on August the 8th, today, in 1709. He was a Brazilian Portuguese priest, and he demonstrated his invention to the King Queen of Portugal.
Oh.
And that was the first hot air balloon.
So a priest invented the first hot air balloon?
Yep, he invented the hot air balloon.
That's unusual,
it was actually called the Passarola.
Oh.
And
he must be the first priest ever to invent anything.
No, there's a lot of priests.
Is there?
Oh, if you know all about the if you know all about the Jesuits, then you'll know that they were the priest class of the Vatican, and they were all responsible for astronomy and astrology.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you didn't know that, did you?
I didn't know that.
That's why they're heavily into it. That's why the satellite, the main satellite, that's owned by the Vatican, is called Lucifer. Just thought I'd add that, but people didn't really know that either. No, it just supports my whole theory on what the Catholic Church is all about. But anyway, so that was in Lisbon in 1709. They had the first fire balloon invented by a priest, a Brazilian Portuguese priest.
Oh, interesting. Okay, cool.
I found this might be interesting, and people that are watching. Did you know in 1786 on this day, Congress agreed unanimously to choose the US dollar as the monetary unit for the United States?
Now that is interesting that it's happening in August, isn't it?
It is.
That is fascinating. If anyone knows what's going on in August, that is fascinating. That happened in 1786.
1786. It was today that they chose the dollar.
Right. Okay. Well, that is interesting. No, I do find that fascinating. Yes.
It's fascinating. It's going to be fascinating. Is it in 10th, 11th, and 12th? We've got Mike Lindell trying to disprove £5 million offering that anyone can debunk all of the fraudulent stuff in the US.
Yeah. So he's holding a cyber symposium. And he's offered £5 million.
For anybody to come and prove that all of the
what he's saying is false.
That's false.
Yeah. All the election fraud that he's proved categorically
and
has
happened.
And it's a lot. I mean, a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
He's offered £5 million for anyone who can come along and disprove it.
Yeah, £5 million.
Someone doesn't do that who's not confident that it's true.
Yeah,
it's like the person who's offered 1.2 million to prove the virus exists.
Yeah,
and no one's done it.
No, well, funny you should say that because there's a doctor called Robert O. Young, and he's basically him and a team of other virologists have all sent freedom of information requests to every health official in nearly every country: Australia, Brazil, France, Germany, Canada, the UK, and basically said, right, we want you to prove that there's an isolated virus found within a client, within a victim, a client, within a patient. Thank you. And every single one of them come back and said we haven't got any information and we've got none of it.
Right.
So all of this stuff they're pushing about this virus.
That alone should be enough to end it.
Yeah, but it's not.
No.
It's not, because this is not about health.
No.
This is not about. But the longer people keep believing it and buying into it and wearing a mask, the longer it's going to. They're going to keep pushing it. It's going to reach a critical mass. All the information will come out. The problem is the general population they're only hooked into the TV, and the TV is part of the problem, and so they're not going to expose the thing that they're trying to convince people that exists. So they're not going to go, oh, cases, and this and that, 1 in 70 people, and they go, actually, while we're saying that, on the other news, it isn't there. It's not real. They're not going to come out and say that. So you have to go and.
What is interesting in UK at the moment is apparently the infection rate has gone right down. Statistically, data-wise, the infection rate and death rate has gone right down. It's gone lowest point.
Yeah.
So that is fascinating.
And how did they? So the infection that they can't find that doesn't exist
has suddenly gone down.
It's suddenly gone down. And how are they finding that? Using the PCR test that doesn't work?
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Funny that. Yeah, it's a joke. The whole thing's a joke. Anyway, so
let's
move on.
It's not a funny joke.
No, it's carry on. But it's true.
But the 1776 thing about the dollar is fascinating. If you know what's going on with the financial system at the moment, you know what's happening in the world financially, and what's about to kick in financially. That's actually quite fascinating.
We've spoken about this in other things. But anyway, so in 1876, that's 100 years, 90 years after, Thomas Edison is granted the patent for autographic printing.
Oh.
Do you know what autographic printing is?
No.
Would you like to know?
No.
Great. Moving on. In 1998,
he walked into that one. Come on. If you want a yes response, don't ask the question.
Should I not ask a question?
No, don't ask any questions at all. That's communism again. No, stop. No, go back. Ask questions.
You just debunked your whole theory.
I did, I know.
You just walked in that one.
No, I did, yeah.
All right, okay. So, you got to quicker than that, mate.
It's comedy and tragedy.
It is. Boom. Right, so autographic printing is basically where they use a needle, a device to record sound onto metal and plastic. Yeah. So you know when the grooves that are made in a record.
Yeah.
Well, they use a specific needle, and that information is then put into the vinyl and other things. That is autographic printing.
I didn't know Edison invented that.
Yeah, Edison, 1876. Well, it was 1876. He invented that, but then later there was another guy. I can't remember the name of the geezer now. I think it was Bell, but I think it was 1898. About a little bit after, he then took that invention and then improved it, and then we started getting gramophones and stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah, so
Edison was a clever man. So obviously he invented the light bulb.
Yeah.
But yeah,
he had a light bulb moment.
He did have a light bulb moment. He had an epiphany.
Yeah.
And he liked that much when it wore off. He had another.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. Great. Another epiphany, right? Yeah. So here's something.
I'm having an epiphany right now on the table.
Oh, yeah. It's not a table.
It's not a table. No.
So here's one.
It's a table.
Here's one that might fascinate you. Did you know that in 1898, William Kellogg invented cornflakes? This day.
You mean there was actually a man called Kellogg?
Yes, Will Kellogg.
Will Kellogg.
Do you know what's really fascinating?
I've heard he did.
Do you know what's really fascinating about him?
What?
He actually invented a range of exercise equipment. He actually,
really?
So basically, Kellogg was someone that made exercise equipment. He invented and made exercise equipment.
Right.
And what he wanted to do was he wanted to improve patients' diet.
Right.
And that's how he invented cornflakes.
Okay.
And granola.
Oh, really?
He's responsible for granola and cornflakes. And cornflakes are made from toasted maize.
So when was this?
That was in 1898.
I thought granola was a recent thing. Like, last 40, 50 years, not 1898.
Yeah, well, where are you getting your information from?
I don't know. No, I didn't. I just thought.
Just assumed.
I just assumed.
Yeah.
I do what everyone did. Well, I didn't assume.
I was just going to make up some shit and believe the shit I make up. I thought it was 50 years ago.
No.
Where did that come from? I don't know. I just thought
it was recent because you've only heard mainly about granola in more recent times. It's become more popular. So I wouldn't have put Kellogg's cornflakes with granola.
No, I wouldn't. It don't taste.
It don't taste very nice. No.
Not with milk, anyway.
Not with milk. No. It's dry. It's fine. It's dry on its own. That's all right.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Frosties, Frosties and cornflakes. Perfect, but granola. No. That needs to go with Alpen. Anyway. But yeah, so.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I like that one. That's two fascinating ones I like now.
I know.
Those are my favourite ones out of all of them.
Ever.
Yeah, ever.
Great. Yeah. So I thought it was interesting that he was a inventor of.
How do you go
originally invented
exercise equipment to nutrition?
Well, because people were exercising and he wanted to improve their diet because it's all part of the whole thing.
I know, but you don't normally don't get these days. You don't get exercise people inventing nutrition. You don't get
I don't know.
Nutrition people inventing exercise.
I don't know. When you go down the gym, all these people inventing all these different weight gains and proteins and all the rest of it and health. Yeah. So I think they go.
What do I know?
I think they go hand in hand.
What do I know? I'm studying cookies and crisps and things and chocolate, so don't ask me.
But don't ask him.
No,
don't ask him anything about health, for God's sake.
No. What do I know? No.
You wouldn't know. You get a terrible answer.
I go through fruit and nut like it's nobody's business, so don't ask me.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway.
1911.
1911.
Yes. So 1911, the 1 millionth patent was put through the US. So it was patent 1 million.
Right.
And it was filed in the United States.
Yeah.
And it was by the patent office by Francis Holton for the tubeless vehicle tyre.
The tubeless vehicle
tubeless
tyre.
Vehicle tyre.
Okay.
Yeah. So so
that was the 1 million patent.
The 1 millionth patent, and that was in 1911.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
1929. You remember the Zeppelin?
Well, yeah.
The Hindenburg
Zeppelin. Yeah.
Well, the German airship, the Graf Zeppelin,
right.
began an around the world trip.
Oh.
On this day in 1929.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought was reasonably interesting.
The Zeppelin never really took off, did it?
Sorry?
The Zeppelin never really took off, did it?
Oh, very good. I like that. Boom, boom. That one went down in flames, mate. That's a Hindenburg. Great. So in 1945, which is also, this ties into what's going on right now.
Right.
In 1945, on this day, the US, the USSR, Britain, and France signed the Treaty of London, which sets down the procedures of the Nuremberg trials.
Really? Now that's fascinating. And that's also in August.
That's on this day.
What is it about August?
On this day.
Okay.
And then when we realised that what's going on with the experimental vaccinations, all 10 of the Nuremberg codes are broken.
Yes.
All 10 of them. All 10 of them.
All 10 of them.
Yeah. All 10 of them, but terrible. And if you break the Nuremberg code, that is a death sentence.
It's treason. Yeah, you'll literally get killed for it.
So anybody that's administering the vaccines, anybody that's promoting it, the TV, the media, all in breach of this.
Yeah.
And what was interesting when I looked into the Nuremberg trials, more doctors and people from the media were executed than the actual officers of the German Nazi thing, or the army, or I can't think of the word. The officers.
Yeah.
More officers were then shipped over to the States,
right?
And more people that were doctors, nurses, and media were executed.
Jesus.
Than actually, so people that are doing this, and if once this comes down, anybody that's involved in it, they're in big trouble. Big trouble. Because what's going on right now breaches all 10. But I just found
and a doctor, Vernon Coleman, has actually come out openly and stated that. An actual doctor has stated you are breaking your
Well, if you actually go
and you're going to get,
it's breaking all 10.
Yeah.
But I found that fascinating. That's going on right now, and that was actually pretty much the framework of that was put down on this day.
Right. Wow. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. August is something.
It's an interesting what happened on this day, isn't it?
What is about this August astrologically? Do you know? Because there's got to be something happening. There's so much happening this month.
I don't know what you noticed, but today is the 8th of the 8th, and that's meant to be the Lion's Gate. So all the spiritual people out there believe that it's a portal that opens by astrological alignment that allows us to get negative, to escape from negative energy.
Oh, do we need to call the Ghostbusters?
I don't know.
Okay, just checking.
I don't know. They believe all this stuff. Yeah. I mean, you can't prove it or anything.
No.
But there's an energetic place. It's called the Lion's Gate, and it's on the 8th. It's the 8th of the 8th.
Okay, well that happens today. That could benefit because there's clearly something about August this year that is massive.
Yeah.
Because there's so much happening. It's literally.
My social event next weekend. That's what it is.
That's what it is. Your social event is going to be the thing that changes the world.
That's what's massive.
Yes. Next week, on the social event of your party, the next day we're going to wake up and everyone's going to be healed. Yeah. There'll be no evil on this world.
Well, with me and you here, all 40 of them, the people that come already are, I think.
They already are, that's right, yeah. They're all your clients,
aren't they? My clients, mate, yeah. So here's something interesting. 1950, Florence Chadwick, do you know who she is?
No.
She was the first lady to swim the English Channel.
Oh, okay.
And she did it in 13 hours and 23 minutes.
Oh, well, that's impressive.
Yeah. Florence Chadwick, 1950.
How many miles is the English Channel?
22, I think.
22.
It depends. Well, there's the English Channel doesn't have a specific because it varies.
Oh, right, okay.
It's not all the same width all the way through, is it? It's not like a ruler.
No, but I assume they.
Dover to Calais is closer than Cherbourg to Portsmouth.
Well, it depends where she went from.
I would imagine she probably done Dover to Calais.
Okay.
About 13.
That's interesting.
It is 13 hours. Florence Chadwick.
Okay. Cool. Good.
This one, you're going to love this.
I love this one.
I'm pretty sure you're going to love this.
I've loved some of them so far.
On this day in 1963.
Yeah.
The Great Train Robbery happened.
Did it?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And it was on this day in 1963. The Great Train Robbery happened, and they stole or took £2.6 million.
Wow.
Okay. Now, took me a bit of a way of working it out, but I've managed to work out what that is in today's money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll write it down.
What is it?
So 2.6 million in 1963, ladies and gentlemen, is worth 54,361,964 pounds and 17 pence in today's money.
Wow.
So,
but didn't they all get caught in the end?
I think a couple of them got away, didn't they?
Did they come get away? Oh, I don't know.
You not seen the film Buster?
No.
Oh.
No. Sorry, no. I have seen the film Buster. I apologize because it's Phil Collins, and that as soon as you said it, Phil Collins pops in my head, and I had Another Day in Paradise in me for some reason. Not that Another Day in Paradise was in the movies. I don't think it was, but I could be wrong. I don't know. But I've gone off a whole waffle.
I know you
rant about the Great Train Robbery. Yeah. No, I have seen the movie, but I don't remember who got away or who didn't.
I don't think. I think a few of them got away, or they got caught really late in their life. But I found that 54 million quid.
Wow.
So if we held up a train now and cleared it out, not that you can do that these days. But yeah, it was like 54 million quid.
Okay. Wow. Cool. Excellent. Yeah, great. There's a lot of money.
Yeah. And so finally,
the last one, the big finish.
So you remember when the Beatles were walking across?
Yeah, across the road. Yeah,
Abbey Road. That happened on this day.
Yeah.
In 1969. They're photographed by a guy called Ian McMillan and crossing the street just outside EMI Studios.
Oh, okay.
For the cover of their Abbey Road album.
Oh, wow.
And that happened on this day, 8th of August.
That very famous moment in time.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's it for what happened on this day. I hope
Brilliant.
you found that interesting and fascinating, and I
We
suppose
certainly
I did.
We certainly did, Steve.
Good.
We
Thanks.
did. We found that very interesting. I found some of those fascinating in myself.
Not bad to dig that up when I was half asleep.
No, that's not
I
bad.
was struggling all day.
No, I was going to say, yeah, not bad. If you've been up since 3 just for that, then you need a life.
Well, I've done all the music. I've done my clients. I've had to do all this. I'm going to sleep like a baby tonight.
Seriously, you've been super busy, haven't you?
I've been super busy.
Yeah. And I've had a day off.
Yeah, I keep myself distracted from losing my boy, giving my boy back over another country. So I think that's pretty much it for this episode.
Thank you very much for watching.
Yeah, we do enjoy doing this, and we do
enjoy doing it. We have a laugh.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. I look forward to it. Just shame we only done it once a month in the last few months.
Yes, is, yeah. We won't do that again. We'll promise we're back on track from now on. We promise.
Yeah.
Is
that what you do when you promise?
Yeah, I promise I do this. I like to do a Hexasex draw on my chest.
I bet Evelyn loves that. When she's on a promise, you're sitting there bleeding and doing some Pope stuff.
I'm doing this on my chest.
Yeah, great. At least you get a promise, mate.
Well, that's true, yeah. Mine's normally a promise note. Saying, I owe you one. Yeah. No.
Do you give her one? Anyway, so
I'll show you at the party.
That's great. Yeah, which is what I am happy about. What I am happy about though is that you've actually offered to do your magic.
Well, you asked me.
Yeah.
So yes, I've accepted.
So anybody
that
that's going to be
request.
here next weekend is going to see the master himself pulling all sorts of. Oh, it's amazing what you do, mate. He's an amazing magician. So you're going to get entertained.
I'm a little bit rusty.
For those of you that aren't here, I'm sorry you're going to miss it. So never mind. So other than that, I think we're going to finish up.
Yes.
We're going to finish off with a normal rattle on. If you want to contact Jonathan with regards to any of the issues that we've discussed in this podcast. You can go to his website, which is decodingpain.com and thedtosystem.com.
Yes.
You can either contact him or message him through Facebook. Yes. And if you want to work with me for whatever reason, you think I'm more handsome or more funny or much more caring and affectionate.
In which case, you definitely need that switching on.
Yeah.
Immediately. Come and see me ASAP, and I will switch that off immediately. Because you don't want to be running around with that conflict in your brain.
It's harsh, isn't it? Really harsh. That's what everyone's thinking. I wonder when we bloody own. Anyway, so if you do want to work with me,
you poor thing.
I know.
Yeah, I
too
know.
Long. Don't patronise me. So if you do want to work with me, then you can go to my website, which is healingthemind.co.uk, or contact me on Facebook or other means. And if you want to watch any of our backtrack stuff from the past, I think we're like 48 podcasts now, and we're on YouTube. With the Inside Out Effect with Stephen and Jonathan. So you can go and listen to, if you've got anything from that we haven't covered in there, we've covered pretty much everything over the last 48 that causes the conflicts, that causes different illness, sickness, mental health problems.
And if anyone would like to hire us to come and speak at an event or speak at your workshops or talks, then just drop us a line. We love coming out and speaking in public, live, to people and sharing information.
How do you speak in public, not live?
Well, you can speak like this. We're in pub. We're not in public.
We are live.
We are live.
How can we speak in public, not live?
Very much like Joe Biden does. I'll say pretty much speaking in public, but he's not live.
Yeah.
For those of you in the know, you'll understand what I mean. For those of you who don't, you'll just go, what?
Yeah. Especially if you've got, if it's concerning mental health issues. I mean, that's something we can definitely talk about and help massively.
Yeah. So, yes. Other than that, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. We've enjoyed it as always.
I have. And have you?
I have enjoyed it. It was very, very funny. I enjoyed myself immensely.
I know you have. I've enjoyed watching you enjoying yourself.
I made myself chuckle quite a bit.
Yes. Yeah. So, we'll see you probably in a fortnite's time. Thank you again for watching. I've been Stephen Jakes.
You've been Stephen Jakes? Who were you a minute ago? You've been? Who were you before?
What? I've been your host, Stephen Jakes, and this is my other host, colleague, friend, and also my mate, Jonathan Shaw. We'll see you in a fortnight. Thanks for watching, and take care and have an awesome fortnight. Ciao for now.
See you later, guys. Have a good night. Bye.
Come on, press the button.